Molto bene, adesso passo di nuovo la parola alla collega Alessia De Luca per moderare i prossimi speaker.
Eccoci, sì. I'm very pleased to introduce Mr. Alvaro del Hoyo. Hi, he is the Southern European Technology Strategist at Crowdstrike. More than 20 years of experience developing in multiple sectors. And Alvaro will give us a quick overlook about how attackers are actually using AI, how CrowdStrike is using AI since its foundation, and how organizations should protect their applied AI. Please.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, first of all, I would like to give thanks to the organization to have the opportunity to be here to talk about, very briefly, of something that we are discussing regularly with our customers because of the interest of these three topics around AI is generating everywhere. No? So, starting with how the adversaries are using AI. No? There are two reports here. One on the left side is our recently launched report, annual report on the global threat, coming from all the insights we are collecting through our platform and the services we are providing, responding to incidents, doing threat hunting, and so on. And the other one was issued in January 2024, last year. That is an assessment for the National Cybersecurity Center on which they think is going to be in the next 2 years, so until the end of this year, and the impact of the adversaries using AI. No? The conclusion in both sides on these reports is that we are on the early days. Everyone is using it, and I am meaning everyone, not only the adversaries, with different types of capabilities, resources to approach it. But they are concluding in the National Cybersecurity Center that there is not going to be a high impact in the next 2 years, meaning the end of this year. And this is something that we are evidencing in our global threat report. For the first time, there is a specific section detailing what we have seen adversaries utilizing artificial intelligence. For sure, no surprise, this information is there. Different campaigns that have passed in 2024, like China with Green Cicada Network, by using AI, generating social accounts and content to create polarization. Meanwhile, the US elections, Russia doing pretty much the same. Several countries here in Europe, in the US and Israel. And for sure, we have seen many phishing improvements, as it was commented before, but not only in crafting the content to provide the byte, at the same time even adding files that were letting the adversaries deploy keyloggers, for instance. Okay, they are at the same time doing very well crafted decoy websites, following to the victims that are taking the byte, and then they are either providing credentials or they are able to apply a drive-by-the-load attack, feeding some malicious software into computers. But on top of that, we are starting to see how they are improving their tools, or even implementing some attacks. No? We have seen an exploit generated by LLMs trying to target a Palo Alto Global Protect vulnerability. The exploit was ineffective, but we have seen people trying to use this exploit. We have seen a ransomware gang developing a PowerShell script to destroy data, and it has been affecting a victim. We have seen a deepfake that was costing a company, the victim, up to 25 million. We are seeing in the markets that they are discussing on how to utilize AI to develop malware on C and C++, or even a command line tool enabled by AI doing things like executing shell commands. No? This is all happening. We are, as we said, in early days. They are developing as we are trying to develop AI services in our benefit. Then, going on the AI for security. Since the very beginning, from the day that the company was incorporated, we decided to apply analytics, a data-driven approach, bringing the adversary's intelligence to try to improve the current situation back in the day in 2011, leveraging the cloud. The cloud was kind of 5 years old. The S3 was launched in 2006, EC2 in 2007. So we started to try to go beyond the signature-based detection. So we were starting to be able to recognize features of different files that were coming into endpoints to try to prevent execution of these files, not just pointing that they were there. And then little by little, we came into the conclusion that we could be developing a threat hunting tool, taking the power of the crowd of our customers in the favor of all the community of our customers. So this threat hunting service is a mix of AI and humans that are working, identifying relevant attacks that are happening across our customer community. This is an example I can tell you. Last year, we were identifying an insider threat coming from famous Cholima, adversaries related to the democratic people of North Korea, that they were managing to get some of their members as hired by companies, and then they were collecting the salaries, and in some cases, they were stealing information. We were seeing it thanks to this threat hunting capability because we were identifying patterns of many computers being connected to computers farm where they were performing these attacks. And then we are doing a little bit of a risk prioritization for vulnerabilities, trying to improve the disruption we are able to accomplish when we are fixing configurations and vulnerabilities because our resources are limited. And lately, you see Charlotte AI. This is our agentic AI approach on the platform that is trying to improve the processes of our customers, for instance, in terms of having an efficacy of doing automatically the triage of an incident with almost 99% efficacy ratio. So this is improving significantly the processes of our customers. There are some other use cases that you can see on our resources online. Then the third question that is keeping us busy these days is about the AI security. No? I could have brought here the OWASP top 10 risks and start explaining them, but I think that everyone is on it, trying to understand them and so on, and I prefer to have a different more strategical approach in trying to understand the problem. No? At the end, what we are doing is no more than adding an additional layer into our DevOps application development and operations. That is bringing the models in. And this is the new attack surface. But at the same time, it's implying that in the other layers, new things are happening that we have to be ready for. For instance, in the data layer space, we have to be aware of the protection of which is our training data, our vector embeddings, our model weights when we are fine-tuning our models or creating our own proprietary models, or even to protect the invocation logs. Because in invocation logs, we do have a lot of sensitive information coming from the inputs and outputs that we are logging into our platforms. Then, not all AI services are consumed equal. There are some that are provided by companies that either they are consumer applications that our employees or our civil servants might be using with organizational information, putting it at risk, and in some other cases they are enterprise apps. Here is where we can even feed the agentic AI approaches, the copilots that are even a more complicated oversetting of information problem that we have to put under control. And on this left side, we have to think pretty much in the supply chain type of risk. Whatever is happening to these providers, their models being leaked, our data being leaked, and so on, is going to affect us. But then when we go to the right side of the slide, this is when we are taking these models within our infrastructure, and we are using them as is, and in the majority of the cases, adding additional data with retrieval augmented generation. This is meaning that the third-party risk is still relevant, but little by little, the risk is increasing because our data is being processed in a bigger volume and with a high likelihood of this providing a high level of risk because of the sensitivity. Maybe we are going to be engaging in developing some solutions that are considered high risk by the European regulation, and we really need to be focusing on the third-party side and protecting our investments. In the two other models, the fine-tuned models and self-trained models, we have to protect our own investment, our own models being developed, our weights, and this is at risk as soon as adversaries might be attacking us. So for this, what we are proposing is to consider adding the MLOps into the DevSecOps space, considering that we are using additional pieces of software like MLflow to manage the life cycle of the models that are exposed to vulnerabilities and they might become an entry point. The same is happening with Jupyter notebooks that many of our data scientists are using, and there are vulnerabilities that might be exploited and so on. And this is when we are going to be proactively working in the CI/CD and CT, continuous training, trying to understand all our stack, all our resources at risk, the vulnerabilities and so on, and even try to monitor when we are consuming models from third parties to identify vulnerabilities or malware coming through them. And then for sure, when we will be putting these applications up and running, we will have to do the runtime protection. So this is our perspective of the problem and how we are starting to try to tackle the problem, considering all the layers we have seen before. Okay? That was all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Grazie, Mr. Alvaro del Hoyo.